Welcome back to the True Sports Physical Therapy Podcast. My name is Yoni Rosenblatt. Today, I had Simon Godding on. Simon is really interesting. He is a business coach. Now, I've had a million business coaches reach out to me. I've had business coaches here on the pod. Thanks for listening. Go back and check out those episodes. But Simon is really unique in the way he brings along physios. What I love about Simon is that he's from outside the industry. He's not a physical therapist. And he's the first physical therapy business coach I've had on here that is not from inside of our profession. And I love that because he brings refreshing, unique takes on how to run a practice. He just published his first book, Wealth and Wellness, which is so to the point, very high level from a standpoint of here are the systems and processes that he has seen work. And he does a great job kind of expounding upon some of those principles here in this conversation. Let me know what you think about this podcast. Let me know who else you want to have on it. Simon was a great guest because he was referred to us by some of our other guests that did so well on the podcast. Nandy Bandasak, Jamie Moore up in Jersey. So I think there's a tremendous amount to learn here. Share it with all of your PT buddies. Let us know what you thought. As always, you can find us on True Sports PT on Instagram. Can't wait to hear your feedback. Without further ado, here is Simon Godding. Guys, thank you so much for downloading this conversation with Simon Godding. We got a lot to cover. His outstanding book, Wealth and Wellness, we'll dive into. I highly recommend it to everyone nice enough to shoot me a copy. Easy reading, great reading. I learned a ton. I wanted to kind of start from the beginning. You started your career, Simon, working with others, working for others. Then you ran your own company. Now you're a coach to others. What's the biggest mind shift to go from employee to employer?
It's a good question. I think you've got to get very comfortable very quickly with the fact that you're going to become responsible for other people's mortgages, rent payments, putting food on their table. You've got to get comfortable with being vulnerable, that you might have your name over the door, but you haven't got all the answers. And there are people out there who can probably do things inside of your business better than you can do. So I think humility, but with a relentlessness of, this is what I want, and what you want is subjective. No one should ever tell you what you want from that business. This is what I want. This is where this business is going to go. You create that vision, you communicate it to people. And the guys who come on board with you are the ones who are like, yeah, lead the way, you know. And I think if you can get to that point with self-belief that if things don't go so well, we'll be okay. Nothing in the stupid column. And you're okay. But it is a little bit different. And I think the biggest thing from switching from employee to employer is it's 24 hours a day. You know, an employee, you know, most of them 5 o'clock, doors shut, off they go. You've all seen the picture of the iceberg with the success on the tip of the iceberg and all the other things that sit underneath it. So that's probably the biggest one.
I think that goes a long way, because I'm just like harkening back to when I started True Sports. I definitely did not have this mindset. I didn't have an idea of what I was trying to create. I was just trying to treat. Like, my whole thought was, I just want to run a business that I can treat in a one-on-one fashion, staying in network with insurance, and we'll get into a little bit of that. But I didn't have a vision, or like a vision of what it would look like in 3, 5, 10 years. Certainly didn't have that. Didn't have an idea of a brand and wanted to create this infrastructure. I just wanted to be able to be myself, treat the way I wanted to treat, and treat the people I wanted to treat. I think it would have been helpful to have more of what you just outlined, kind of like a vision, right? Or like this model in my head of what it is I'm trying to create that would have made it a lot easier for me to set up infrastructure so that I could scale to whatever level I wanted to scale. I didn't even have that concept. So I wish this book was around. I wish your concepts, I'm sure they were around. I wish I would have been awakened to them earlier. When to the guy who has the mindset that I just described when I treated, what should be my first steps in creating a business as opposed to creating a job for myself?
Make sure you get paid.
Make sure I get paid. I went a long ass time without getting paid. So that would have been helpful. Okay. So give me more specifics around that. How do I do that?
Well, what I see a lot is there's business owners, and there is people that own businesses that they work in, and then there are people that own business that they are a volunteer in. And I hear it a lot. Oh, I don't take a wage, Simon. I don't pay myself. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
But you are taking all of the risk. You are like literally. Well, I want to make sure the team get paid. Cool. Well, then you need to make sure that you get paid. There's arguments, and there's books like Simon Sinek talks about leaders eat last, and there's some real cool stuff in there. But like, when I ran my business, I got paid because I was the one at 1 a.m. in the morning putting suits together for a guy's wedding. I was the one doing the books and doing the numbers and paying the taxes. So I got paid because I think what happens is that when we focus more on, I want to build this business, and in healthcare, it's very altruistic. We want to help people, which is amazing.
Yep.
We want to, we want to help people, and that's fine. But we also want to make money, because if we don't make money, we can't help people. So the making money has to come first. A profitable business that's financially viable, that's successful, that is scalable, that can grow, that can hire, that can invest, is the one that will probably give the best patient experience.
Yeah. What's your advice to walk the fine line of the owner gets paid and the employees get paid? I think it's a hard line to walk. I used to work for a guy who would take a tremendous amount of money out of the business. He was living a certain type of certain type of lifestyle. Everyone else was living a different lifestyle, a lesser financially incentivized lifestyle.
Yeah.
How do you walk that line as an owner to say, yeah, I'm taking all the risk. Yes, I started everything. Yes, the buck stops with me. And I should be paid commensurate with the market, as opposed to making the business my piggy bank.
Yeah. I think how people want to look at it, there's do I want to just pull money out for the sake of it, or do I want to build something that is an asset, and I am reinvesting? But at the same time, am I living a life that I want? Am I comfortable? Like, have I got a nice roof over my head? And have I got choice? I think that's probably what it comes down to, actually. Have I got choice? I chose to start a business. Nobody forced anybody into it, typically. So I chose to start this business. So therefore, the business should be the thing. It should be a vehicle that allows me to have choice. It's very hard to have choice when you're not making any money, because then you're just working harder and harder just to keep this thing existing.
Yep.
It's like on life support rather than thriving. So it probably, the reason it would be that is because of that altruism, maybe a little bit, but also that sometimes people feel guilty when they're successful and when they are making money, and they say, oh, hey, look at Yoni with his business, and he's driving around in his Lamborghini, and off he goes to Europe again, and watching the Formula One or whatever, or he's got a box at the Lakers. Yeah, but that's because that's what you see. That's what you see when the lights are on. What you don't see is what Yoni's doing when the lights are off.
That you don't want to see that. You don't want to see what I'm doing. It's not pretty.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it comes down to. It's that your success should be subjective. I get it. Again, if you want to have a fleet of helicopters, and gold-plated Bugattis, fantastic. But make sure that your team are getting paid, they're doing well, and they've got an environment that allows them to flourish, and that they are there doing that for you. What you take from that business, because you're the one who's putting something in that nobody else can, and nobody will have the care or the love for your business as you would. It's your baby. The guys I work with at the minute, I don't own the business. They own it. It's their baby. I'm like the cool uncle,
Yeah.
So I really, really care about it. Yeah. But and that's the thing. So, and what it will all probably funnel down into is how much they charge.
Okay. What do you mean by that? How much they charge for what?
For their service. So if they're in PT, sports chiro, sports massage, physio, that sort, anything inside of the private practice healthcare world, the thing that will determine how well their business is doing is how much they charge.
Okay, so that's a good point, because I think that leads to the topic of in network, out of network, going cash pay, right? So I run a business that's in network. We take all insurances, and because of that, or most insurances, because of that, we're capped on our revenue side. Like, our insurance company says, I don't care what you charge me. Here's what I'm paying you. So how do I balance that when I look at it and say, we got to increase revenues because now I got this guy or that guy who's making X amount of money, or let's say I need money. I want to increase my revenues. How do I balance that if I'm staying in network with insurances?
It's really hard. Is the short answer.
Okay, tell me something I don't know, Simon.
So again, I've worked with about 500 clinics, and a lot of them are in network. And all I've seen is the declination of reimbursements, of how it's harder to get paid, how they have you jumping through more hoops, how the various things and codings and units and all the other cool stuff that goes along with it. And ultimately, what you are, if you're an in-network clinic, what you are is a business that its profitability is determined by somebody else. They're telling you how much to charge. They're telling you how much money you can make. Your input on that, or your influence, is capacity.
Yep.
All you could do is, well, if we can do more of this thing that we get paid $40 a session for, we'll make more money. But therefore, to increase capacity, we'd have to work more hours or hire more people. Hire more people is a big expense. To me, to get out of that a little bit, I don't bang the drum of you shouldn't be in network. I look at in network as the money that I'm making from an in-network patient that walks through my door for low back pain, for instance, because I'm only getting $40, $50, $60, whatever it might be. It's a marketing cost. It brought that person to me. Now, what I need to get good at is making sure that when that person walks through my door, that they're aware of other products, other services, other programs, other things that we can offer that are beneficial to them, that they would be happy to invest in with the money out of their own pocket. And what I hear a lot is, well, if they want to use insurance, they won't spend money. Garbage. If their insurance is paying for this, then all of the money that they're not paying for this, they can use for this. And that's what you've got to get good at. And there's a lot of guys I've worked with have done very well with it, with bringing in ancillary products, ancillary services, technology, systems, coaching, whatever you want to call it, but things that people are happy to invest in, because the core thing that they came through the door for is being paid for by
Insurance.
Blue Cross or whoever.
Okay, that's a really interesting way to look at it, that insurance is paying a certain amount, and because of that, maybe I have more income to invest in another service or another product that insurance doesn't cover. So we've done something similar at True Sports. Give me some specifics that you've seen work from an upsell perspective.
So the main one, I think technology in healthcare is huge. So things like PEMF, Shockwave, red light. I mean, these are the guys that I work with, red light systems. See a lot of red light clinics doing very well with it. Again, I know there's certain, in the US, certain states cover certain things, like dry needling's covered in certain states and it's not covered in other ones and things like that. So things like that. But the other one is, it's not so much the technology or the tool, because I could put a scalpel in my son's hand. It doesn't make him a surgeon. I think what people want to pay for is the understanding, the knowledge, the expertise of somebody that's got a shockwave machine, who's got a red light machine, who's got something that says, look, this is going to cost you X, Y, Z, cold plunge therapy, cryotherapy, whatever the thing is. It's a toolbox. But what it means is, Simon, when you come in to see Yoni, what Yoni is world class at is keeping you playing golf. And what he's got is he has an amazing set of tools in his toolbox. Now, Blue Cross are going to let him use this tool. He will run through all of the other tools and tell you why they're for you, how they will benefit you, how they will keep you living the best quality of life, on the understanding that he's okay with you saying no to some of them, rather than he doesn't tell you and you would have said yes.
Yep. It's a really great way to think about it. So that begs the next question, because I think you're already hinting at the answer. I am inundated with business coaches. There is constantly someone, and I've had them on these conversations in this podcast. I'll help your business go from A to Z, as you would say.
Yep.
And everyone's selling that they are the best thing out there. What makes Simon Godding different from a business coaching perspective, aside from your accent?
Well, the accent is
so
an
good.
Absolute plus. I mean, it's great, isn't it? You wouldn't believe I was from Connecticut.
Very good.
I get asked this a little bit. I think what makes me different. I think the first question. I think what makes me different is the first question I ask of anybody, whoever comes into my world, whoever wants to talk to me about this, is, what do you want? Tell me what you want out of this. Because what I see a lot of, and there's some fabulous people out there, like really good, really clever, really insightful, really, really good people. But there's others out there as well. And what I see, oh, hey, Yoni, I will answer you that question when you buy my
Yep.
$4,000 this.
I get that a
Or,
lot.
if you sign up for this, that'll help you with that. And the other one that I see a lot of, and I really don't like it, is any sentence that begins with the words, you know what you should do, or you know what you need to do. I don't need to do anything. I don't need that. Should or shouldn't do anything. It's and what I see a lot is I don't know how to put out the right way to put it is, but it's like what would you call it? Fear through comparison. Like, hey, you're only charging $120 a session. Well, if you're not charging 300, then you're a failure. You're a waste of time. And it's like, thanks for beating me up.
Yeah.
Hey, how about, well, tell me what you want from life. Tell me, if I was talking to you in 10 years' time, what would life look like? If you said, Simon, why don't you do, instead of everyone doing a post-mortem, looking back at things, which is still valuable, why not do it like a pre-mortem? What would, in 10 years' time, if you were sat talking to me in a bar, having a beer or whatever, and you went, the last 10 years have been amazing. Why would it be? And it doesn't have to be too detailed, but at least it gives you something to say, well, this is what I want. Because not everybody wants the same as everybody else. And therefore, not everybody should be told that they should do the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So standing up on a stage or on an Instagram post or something and saying, if you're not, if you're not doing this, you're a loser. Like, and it's like, wow. And I know some people need that. I get it. Some people need the kick up the backside.
Yep.
But and again, whether it's been at events or things I've seen, and someone will stand up on a stage and they'll be inspiring and they'll say these things and they're there with their pad and pen and they're writing things. They're like, oh, this is the thing I really needed to hear. No, it's not. It's just a dopamine effect because you're in a room with everyone else and it makes you feel good. You're going to walk out the door and you are going to do the princely sum of fuck all with it. And that's what I see. So to answer your question, Yoni, the thing that people need to do is understand what they want and then what do I need to do to get there? What actions do I want? And have somebody alongside. I think the thing that would make me different if I was going to do this, I'm like I said, this isn't a lead magnet to sell a $10,000 program or anything like that. If someone came to me and said, Simon, I want you to coach me, how much do you charge? I would say, I'm not going to charge you a penny. I'll come and work with you. And what we'll agree on is if your business grows by a certain percentage, you give me some of that. If I walk you walk, then we'll make it happen. Don't let me abdicate my responsibility by paying me up front on the basis of my knowledge that you can't act upon, and then I still get paid, and you're worse off because now you've paid me and you haven't moved forward. So I'd put my money where my mouth is and say that. And if I saw coaches doing that, I'd have a lot more respect for a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I never hear that. And dude, that's a great answer. I think that is so unique from what you're offering. Like that comp structure and that model is certainly unique. I always say in my house, my kids are always like, I need this, I need that. I'm like, we don't use the N word in my house. You don't need anything. What you want might be this, but you definitely do not need this. And I think like that idea of you just getting paid on the upside is totally unique. So I think that's a great answer. I don't know why it took you a minute to come up with that, because that is so unique in this offering. I've not heard that. Okay, going through your book, Wealth and Wellness, you made an interesting statement. You said, what got you here won't get you there is a fallacy. It's not a complete truth. Rather, it's not everything you have done in the past that has gotten you where you are will take you where you want to be in the future. Yeah. That's kind of more appropriate. So how do you know what methodologies that you've done in the past to get you here are worth keeping and what needs to be thrown by the wayside and you need to move on from?
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's a business cliche. You hear it a lot. What got you to here won't get you to where you want to go. Again, garbage. Surely there have to be things. It comes down to three things: start, stop, and continue. So but then we've got to have a business and a team as well, not just the owner, that's very aware of what happened. So when they do look back, like we said about the post-mortem, but when they do look back at things, they need to look and go, well, what I see a lot of is when things don't go well, why didn't that go well? Deep dive. Who didn't do this? Why hasn't this happened? Really drill down. But yet when it goes well, it's like, well, that's what we were supposed to do.
Yep.
No. Like, do the same. Like, you're clearly a baseball fan, I presume, with the picture above your head. Who's your team?
Orioles, Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, nice, cool. I know nothing about baseball.
Is it? Yeah, clearly. You know how I know you don't know anything about baseball? Because you said, "Oh, nice," when I said Baltimore Orioles. If you knew about the Baltimore Orioles, they've seen better days. They're having a really rough year.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Well, I'm not a baseball fan. The game, the proper game. But my point is that when the Orioles play and they win, if they win, the team will sit down, they'll watch the game back, they'll video review, they'll talk about it, what went well, who did well this, why did that happen? So they ask questions of themselves all the time. So therefore, they're aware of what their strengths are as well as what they need to do better. People say, you learn from your mistakes. No, you learn from everything. You learn from your mistakes, you learn from your successes. The only time you don't learn is if you don't do the thing, which is either if you're a perfectionist or an inherent procrastinator. Yeah. But you always learn. So having something that says, well, what did we do well? When we look back, what did we do really well? And whether we do things in, I'm a big fan of, if one of my sales guys has just got off a call and went, oh, that was a great call. I'm like, right, put a pin in it, record it, put it there, and we'll go back and listen to it in a week or a month. Because at the minute you're all high on the adrenaline. Let's go back and let's listen back to it. And again, go into it. What went really well? Oh, they said that and I said this. And yeah, I caught them there and my tonality was good on this. Fabulous. So what you've got to understand is that we do some stuff really well. And what is the one? What's the soul of the business? What's its heartbeat? Its pulse. Do not remove that. Whether you're $100,000 a year or $100 million, I don't think you should lose that. And the big businesses don't. The really good ones don't. You don't care how big your business is. You can still have that real heartbeat, that the soul of the business. Some things will stop. You might outgrow a process or a system. Cool. Find the next one, and then the next one. That's all right. But that's the three things: start, stop, and continue.
I mean, I think that's a great way of looking at it, and I think it does. It pokes major holes in the cliche of what got us here will not get us there, because there were some things that were great that did get you there, and you want to double down. I remember we were going over every year. I sit down with my partner and we talk about, okay, what are we focusing on this year? What's going to be our calling card? What is our phrase of the year? And I remember we went through a lot of growth between 22 and 23. And my theme of the year for, I think it was 23, was doubling down. And what I meant by that is we are really good at this. Like, we are really good at providing one-on-one care for 45 minutes every time you walk in. Yeah. That is something that has not changed and hopefully will not change in our business. And we do everything around those margins to keep that core competency. But if we're not doubling down, if we're saying, hey, okay, we got to this amount of revenue or growth or whatever, or EBITDA, and saying, okay, now what do we do? Well, sometimes the answer is keep doing what you're doing, right? And that's where our doubling down came from. And that's what you're saying, which is what got you here sometimes will continue to fuel your growth. You don't have to change anything. So I really love that. That's a great piece coming out of your book. Okay, you talk about one of the most daunting fork in the roads that an entrepreneur will come across in your book, and that is making the first hire. How scary that can be. And thankfully, I find this happens a lot in my career, is I make decisions or I take big leaps because I simply have to. So like in the instance of making my first hire, within 3 months of opening True Sports, I was just packed. I just couldn't see any more patients. So it's like, crap, what do? I got to hire. And I got lucky. My first hire was a guy named Tim Mahan, who went on to unbelievable things in his career. I got lucky that I got an unbelievable resume and made it really easy. Now I get a whole bunch of resumes and I don't know who to choose. So
Mm.
walk me through how to, one, make that first hire and know I'm ready for it, and two, how to choose the right person.
Mm. I mean, the first hire is scary.
So scary.
It is, because, like you say, you got to be responsible for somebody else, and moving from self-employed to employer
Yep.
is daunting. I think the way I would do it and try and help somebody walk through it is this, and I would say to them, so if we were having a conversation, you said, Simon, look, I feel like I need to make a hire. I'm really busy. Things are going well, but I'm maxed out. I'm tired. Okay. I would say do two things. Number one, get out of the office. Go somewhere nice and quiet. Take one of these and one of these.
A
Paper and
pen
pencil.
and paper. Yep.
Yeah. And sit down and write down every Yoni that's in this business. So we've got Yoni the clinician, Yoni the marketing guy, Yoni the salesperson, Yoni the accountant, Yoni the janitor, all of them. And then look at how many hours in a day each Yoni, or each time Yoni puts the janitor's hat on, or the front desk hat on, or the marketing hat on, or the clinician's hat. And look at that. And then say, if I was paying somebody to do that task that Yoni, the front desk, is doing, would it pay $20 an hour? And I'm doing 20 hours a week of front desk work. All right, so that's $400 a week. My maths is correct.
Yep.
Okay. So, and then I would say to you, all right, Yoni, you have now got an extra 20 hours in your week. I've magicked it up, all right? Because I'm British and we all know Harry Potter. So we've magicked up 20 hours. In that 20 hours, you can do anything in your business other than be the front desk. What would you choose to do? You don't answer the question, but what would you choose to do? So now, is it, well, can I do more marketing, which is $100, $200, $500 an hour work? Can I get closer to the figures in my business? Am I looking at the output measures, the money that we're making, the PVA of my patients, my patient visit average, the average number of leads that convert, my conversion from discovery visits to evals, from evals to plans of care to membership? Am I giving myself time to look at that? Because I've bought 20 hours a week. That would help you make the first hire. And then when you come to hire the person, and it's all right, we're going to hire a front desk. So to sort of move on to number two and find the person. All I would say in the first hire, for most healthcare businesses, that solopreneur team of one, everybody knows this person, right? We all know whenever we need, we've just moved house. And I rang my friend. I was like, hey, Chris, we're moving. His response, what do you need? How can I help?
Mm-hmm.
We need that person in the business. The first one, because they're the one who they're like a puppy. Like, they're just like, what are we doing? What do you need? Can you answer the phone? Yeah, I can do that. Have you ever done it before? No, but I'll give it a go. Cool. Because all I want is somebody who is a big barrel of will and want and energy, and the skill. All right, I need some competency. I want them to, there's a great phrase in the UK. I want them to be able to find their backside with both hands. Like, that's about it, And then I'll teach them the rest, because I know that they've got that will to just turn their hand to something. Because as much as they're going to do front desk, I'm going to need them to clean a massage table down for the next client to come in. I'm going to need them to maybe do a couple of social media posts or the odd Facebook, Instagram reel. Or I might need them to, help me with something. And they're the sort of person that just has your back. They're like, yeah, cool. What do you need? And they love being involved. That's that to me. If you can find that person as a first hire, I think you'll do really well. Now, if you want to, obviously, if it's a clinician you're hiring, a PT, a PTA, physio, then you've got to go down that road and find somebody who's qualified, and that's fine. But if your decision said, actually, Simon, I want to take that 30 hours a week of treatment and give it to somebody else, and I want to step out of the treatment room, because it's hard to grow a business from a treatment room. It's hard to fly a plane when you're serving the drinks. Okay, well then go and find a PT or a PTA to do that. And again, making sure that you ran your numbers and you have an understanding of that thing to say, if I can take them away, take me away, what else does that mean to this business?
Yeah, that's really gold. Okay, so if I'm hiring a PT, so that was my first hire. I hired a PT before, one, I earned $1, and two, I had a front desk. So if I'm hiring a PT, how do I gauge whether they are the right PT for my practice?
I think you will only find out by hiring them.
There's got to be something I can ask them that gives me some type of insight as to whether they are the right hire. What do I ask them?
I think it would come down. I don't think there's one thing that you can ask. I think again, it's character you're looking for.
Yep.
You're looking for that character of the person who's. And again, I ruffled a few feathers a while ago. I was talking to some people, and I've got no clinical background. I've got no medical knowledge whatsoever, and I won't go down that road because it gives me what you guys have, with all due respect, clinical bias.
Yep.
So I remain objective. And I remember saying, I was talking to a bunch of physios in the UK, and I was like, Bob, what? Tell me who you are, Bob. And like, well, I'm a physio. And I went, no, you're not. I am. So you're not. I said, it might say it on your name badge, but you're a problem solver. You change the quality of people's lives. You use physio to achieve that. Do you tell people that that's what you do, or do you tell people you do physio? I tell people I do physio. Great. When people come to me and say, Simon, what do you do for a living? I unravel the mess in business owners' heads. It's the easiest way I can explain it. And they're like, oh, okay. So if you're sat in front, if you're interviewing somebody and they're talking about something that isn't about how to help somebody achieve a goal, help people change the quality of their lives, that actually they understand why they're doing what they're doing. They don't just know how to do what they're doing. I want people to see over the top of their role. I want people to go, do you know what? When I'm playing golf and Danny comes to me and says, hey, Sam, back on the golf. Yeah, because Yoni keeps me playing golf. That's what he does. That we want people who can get into that mindset. Not just, I'm a great physio and I've got lots of letters after my name. Because frankly, the likes of me, who is a patient, we don't give a fuck, right?
Yep.
With all due respect, we want you to be good. But if you sit in front of me and say, Simon, I work with people just like you every single day and I'm really good at what I do, I'm in. Like, because if I was, I'm lacking in confidence, I'm lacking in certainty, and I'm lacking in clarity, and you give me them three things, let's go. Certificates on the wall, couldn't care less. What type of red light machine you've got, not really bothered. What type of equipment you've got, will it, because we're all selfish at the end of the day, will it help me do the thing I want to do? And have you done a good enough job of getting that out of me, the actual reason I'm sat in front of you? I'm not sat in front of you because I want physical therapy. Nobody wants physical therapy.
Right.
Nobody sat on the couch going, do you know what I haven't had for ages, darling? Physical therapy. Oh, it's so Moorish. No, it's the wife saying, Simon, you haven't played golf for 6 months. Your golf clubs are gathering dust. Your membership that you're spending $1,000 a month on is burning a hole in our bank balance. And you're sat on the couch complaining. Get out of my hair. Go and see Yoni. Go and get back on the golf course. Right. That's what we're buying. Like you said, wants and needs. I want to play golf. You need PT.
Yeah. How do you test for that in a conversation? How do I have an applicant come into my office? I get 1 hour with them. How do I know that they know why they're doing what they're doing as opposed to just what they're doing?
I would want to talk. I wouldn't talk anything about PT. I would talk about, tell me about patients that you've helped. Talk about your success stories. Tell me about what ignites you. What when they sit forward in their chair and go, oh, this guy came in once and he was, he'd been to 6 different clinics and none of them could help him. And he was really struggling. He was at the end of his tether. And I found out that the guy was waking up at 3 a.m. every morning, sat in the kitchen drinking a glass of milk because he was panicking that he wasn't going to be able to take his kids on holiday because he couldn't sit on an aeroplane for 6 hours without his back killing him. And we got him. Now he flew to Orlando and then he's booked a holiday to Australia. Like, that's what I want. I want to see that. I want to see people's eyes light up when they talk about not how great of a physio or a PT I am, but that somewhere some guy's kids are having a great holiday because dad can go and play football with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always talk about, and it's because I've swung and missed so many times at this. Number one, I was that guy that was obsessed with letters after the name, and I didn't want to hire you unless you had them. And rapidly, probably not rapidly enough, but I learned that it's not about that. Like you said, it's really about, are they excited to be here? Period.
Yeah.
And really what now my interviews boil down to is how excited and how coachable are you
Mhm.
to
Oh yeah.
be
Yeah, yeah.
to be in front of me. And what I've tried to do is construct scenarios to test that,
Mm,
to understand and to gauge, are you excited to be here? Can you help the person in front of you? And those are the biggest markers for success, rather than where do you go to school, how high a level of an athlete are you, how high level of athletes have you worked with. All of that becomes secondary to, are you excited to be in front of me? And I think that's the number one marker that I hire for.
mm,
Then once I make that hire, now my question to you, Simon, is what are the KPIs, what are the performance indicators I should be using to test whether that employee is doing a great job?
mm. I think there's a few. I think you don't need to have too many. And essentially, KPIs, they are numerical representations of behavior. So that's what we're doing. We're getting data that's born out of behavior. So what I would look at is the patient journey. What are you like at converting people into patients? When you do whether you do a discovery session or an evaluation, what's your percentage of people who move from a discovery to an eval to a plan of care? When you get people onto a plan of care, how many people are completing there's no such thing as a completed plan of care because we're human beings, aren't we? The minute we
Yep.
walk out of your clinic, we're starting to decline. But
Yep.
you know, how many people completed the agreed number of initial sessions to get them to back, we get people back to doing something. And then how many people moved on to the keep them doing something, whether that's, I'm not a fan of the word maintenance. We're not cars. I think like progression, keep doing that thing.
Yep.
How many people did that? Reviews, obviously a big one as well. I'm not a massive fan of things like NPS.
Okay.
I worked in a big I worked for the UK equivalent of Best Buy, and they were massive on NPS, and it's a flawed system because um, you'll always get somebody who tries to be clever, who tries to be funny, and I'm just not a fan of it. I would look at how many reviews have we got, and in the reviews, how many people are mentioning that PT by name. Just little things like that. But in terms of actual metrics,
Yep.
it would be the patient journey. It would be that. And then in terms of other behaviors, it would be how receptive are they when you say, "Hey, Simon, I need you to phone 20 of our past patients. You're in your first month. Here's 20 patients that worked with us in the past. I want you to call them up, introduce yourself, offer them a free session, complimentary session or whatever to come in. See what they're like when they have to do something that's outside of, well, I'm a PT." And I've seen this, I'm not saying if anyone's listening to this, but I have seen it. You guys have got fucking egos up here. Like I've got a big ego, right?
Yep.
A massive one, but I'm very good at keeping it in check. And I've
Yeah.
seen some of these guys, well, that's not for me to do. No, it is. Like it is. That's what you're doing because ultimately your number one KPI in your job is patient retention. Keep them coming back in. And that doesn't mean prescribe more sessions than they need, but keep them, look after them, be by their side, get them back to, and then keep them.
Yeah.
And if you've got
Yeah.
to do something, hey, I need to do some social media content. Can we do a quick video of Simon's 7 top tips of how to avoid knee pain while running? I don't do social media. Okay, thanks very much. That is a big red flag.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's great. We look at, to your point, we look at average visits per case. So what that tells us is it's not just a number. It tells us how sticky a therapist is. And
Yeah.
in order to be a sticky therapist, one, they got to be really excited. A boring ass PT is not going to be a sticky PT. Two is it tells me how good are they actually clinically. It shows me how good they are clinically and interpersonally. It's a great mix. And those are the mixes you need to be outstanding therapists. So that's one KPI that we use. Another one is cancel rate. And
Yeah.
a lot of therapists initially scoff at this because it's like, hey, the patient got sick. That's not my fault. Well, I always used to think about snow days. Like when it starts snowing and a patient has a very easy excuse to say, hey, it's snowing, I can't come in. How many patients of yours come in because they value your service? That tells me, hey, this patient really values that which you're providing, gives me a great metric to lean on, and then we can coach around it. What
Yeah.
are you doing that's not causing stickiness? Or to your previous point, what are you doing really well and how do we double down on that? That's been like a great KPI. So I'm glad to hear that we're kind of along the same lines there. I agree with the NPS score. I think it's a jaded view. I think you're getting a very select view, so I think you want to be careful with that. But those are great points. Okay, you talk about nailing the basics in your book, and one of the things that you talk about is, I think you use the example of your mechanic,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and his ability to be super reliable and super honest, and that he just does the basics really well. You call him and he answers. How do you coach business owners to coach their front desk to nail that basic of answering the phone?
I mean, I think there's different ways. It's going to depend on the sort of personality of the person, but ultimately, it's every time that phone rings, that could be another $1,000,
Yep.
right? And commercially and brutally, and sometimes, again, being honest, we don't make money, you don't get paid. Now, money is a byproduct of our behavior, but we need that for you to get paid, for you to stay in this job. So answer the phone. Now, there's always oh, well, there was a client in the waiting room and the phone rang. Trust me, they won't mind if you say, hey, can I just get this? Nobody's going to say, no, don't answer that phone. You talk to me. I'm
Yep.
far more important. And if someone did do that, escort them off the premises because they're a dick. All right. Get them out of the clinic.
Yep.
They're not. Answer the phone. And just do what you say you were going to do. If you say, hey, can I give you a call back? I'm just with somebody in a minute. Can I call you back in 10 minutes? Yeah. Call them back in 10 minutes. Just do that. Again, it is the basics. And when the phone rings, answer it. When
how should they answer? What should they say when they pick up that phone?
I think they need to say something that the person on the end of the phone understands that they've called the right place. So, it would be, something like, hey, thanks for calling Simon's Imaginary PT Clinic. You're speaking to Simon. Can I just take your name?
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's really good and it's to the point. I had a head of admin that used to work here. She did a lot of things that I hated. One of the things she did that I loved was she told her front desk that the person on the other line should be able to hear your smile when you answer that phone. And I think that goes a long way. And I think that's what you're talking about. Those are the basics. And it makes me think about some of the other things you said, which is, I'm Simon Godding. I'm not a physio. And that's refreshing. I actually want to learn more from you. And I've learned more from folks that are outside of the industry, because business is business is business. And one of the key tenets of business is sales, to your point.
Yeah.
And it's that hospitality piece. And we are in a service profession, and everything we do should go through that lens. So when you're answering the phone, you're right. You should be to the point. You're right. They should know that they're calling the right place, but also that we are excited to get their phone call.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can hear people smiling, and you can also tell when somebody's the best one is, it's like, hey, welcome to Simon's PT Clinic, and they're sat on their phones.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Hear it. You can hear that they don't care. You've got I'm a big believer that the first phone call inside of a healthcare clinic is the most important piece of conversation that you will ever have, or communication, because again, another cliche in business is how you do anything is how you do everything. No, how you are perceived you do anything is how you are perceived you do everything. And you'll have done this. You'll have called someone up, landscape gardener. Well, they can't even be bothered to answer the phone. I bet they're not very good at mowing my lawn.
Yep.
That's our our irrational brain thinks things like that. So when I call up and someone just says, hey, Simon, can I just get your name again? And you're talking to Simon, cool. Just before we get into all this, what was it that made you call us today? What's going on? Like, the tone goes down. It's that connect emotionally quite quickly, become somebody's best friend really quickly. Like, look, we really appreciate you making the call. Ask permission. Before we get into all this, am I all right just to ask you a few questions? Just need to know a little bit more about you. Is that okay? That's it.
Yeah, I worked for a guy in New York my last rotation in graduate school, and he was a big burly guy. He was a former Israeli Defense Forces special operator, tough as nails. I mean, he found physio because he banged up his back jumping out of a plane. Just a real hero of heroes. Yeah. And he would, and we were treating 4 patients an hour. It was so busy. Patients wouldn't even have appointments. That elevator would bing and someone would walk off. And Okay, next, just tons of people. And he would walk into the room, lower his tone, and say, "Is it okay if I look at your shoulder?" And the patient's like, "Yes, like that's why I'm here." He's like, "Okay, is it okay if I'm just gonna run you through a couple tests? Is it okay if we do this test because it's gonna really help us identify what's wrong?" Just the sweetest, kindest, gentlest voice emanating from this
Yeah.
massive war hero. But
Yeah.
man, I tell you, that guy's visit per case number
Yeah.
was through the roof. I mean, he had patients that were coming in that had heard him ask this question about the shoulder a
Mm.
thousand times, but it didn't matter because it resonated. I also, so I think there's gold there. I also appreciate the way you deconstruct every interaction. I think that's what an entrepreneur has to do. Look
Mm.
at your entire business. If you can, either hire a Simon Godding to look at your business from the outside, because it's really hard to do when you're in the business, or if you're the entrepreneur, take a step away and say, like, how is my call center working? What are my patient interactions like? How do I want to script this? How do I want to coach it? How do I want to teach it? How do I then hold them accountable? How do I measure that they're doing all these things? There's so many interactions that happen in the PT space. To be able to deconstruct it, I think is totally valuable.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Okay. Now you mentioned honesty,
Mm.
and it's funny that you used honesty in reference to your mechanic, because I think it's one of the least honest professions.
Potentially,
Um,
yeah.
although the truth is, like, we are mechanics for the body, right? So give me an example of where you saw a therapist thrive and use this concept or trait of honesty in their practice.
I think, like I sort of touched on it a little bit before, but honesty is, um, don't, set realistic expectations. Don't let somebody think that they can, if they've had debilitating back pain for the last 10 years, that you're going to have them done in 3 sessions.
Yep.
Like, be honest with them. Look, and again, the honesty was the 3 statements. We do this every day. We do. That's factual. With people just like you, again, factual. And we're really good at it. And I can back that up because I've got a list of testimonials and reviews coming out of my ears. I've got past patients who just look like you. So, if you come to me with a problem, your life is here and you want it to be here. All right, I'll get you there. I will not be the reason that you do not achieve your goal. That's what we want to hear. That's the honesty. Now, what I will say is this: I might say, and to the best of my knowledge, with cases that I've dealt with that are just like yours, who want to get back to the thing that you do, typically, and a great word to use, typically 16 sessions, twice a week for the next 8 weeks. But here's where I will be absolutely transparent. I give no absolute promises or unsubstantiated guarantees. I cannot say that at the end of session 16, we will have got you back to the thing that you've told me you want to get back to, playing with your grandkids, going on a holiday, hiking up the hills, playing golf, whatever. But this is what I will do. As we go through this process, session 1 to session 16 are not all created the same. We're going to do different things in the early sessions to the mid sessions to the end ones. And what I'll be doing is I'll check in with you. I'll let you know where we are. Think of it like GPS. We've got 2 points. We know where we want to go and we know where we're starting from. What we need to know is, are we on the path? And if we fall off the path because you told me you were doing your exercises when you were outside of the clinic, and we all know you weren't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then what I might have to tell you is we might need to tag a couple of sessions on the end. But what I won't do is tell you that at the end of session 16. I'll tell you it in plenty of time because I'm keeping track of where I believe you should be on the line. Again, if you're ahead of the line, I'll tell you. If you're below the line, I'll tell you. So what we will do is we are walking a path together. That is where I believe the honesty is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a great example. And I think the quicker you're able to get to that level of honesty with your patient, and the better you are at defining those scenarios, the more stickiness you create, the more buy-in you create,
Yeah.
and therefore the more successful you become. I think that's really great. Okay, Simon, dude, I could talk to you forever. Let's go to lightning round. Ready?
Yeah.
So a couple quick questions, quick hitters for you, so that we know a little bit more about the person, the human that is Simon Godding. What's your dream car and why? Because, you are a petrol head, as I would say.
Huge petrol head.
No one knows what that is, but thank you for teaching me what that phrase
I
is.
think in the US you call yourself gearheads.
Okay, gearheads.
Yeah, if you're real, car fan, and I'm huge. In fact, I don't know if I turn my camera around, you can see there's a picture of a car. That's my dream car.
Which is?
That's an Audi Quattro S2 short wheelbase rally car from the mid 80s. It was the first 4-wheel drive off rally car.
Dude, give me something that's not German.
I haven't got a dream car. I have a dream garage that has sort of 5 or 10 locked in, and then the others change on a week-to-week basis. But one of the ones right in the middle will be a '67 Shelby GT 500.
Which is, what the hell's a Shelby? Where's that made?
So it was the Ford Mustang.
Okay,
of the mid '60s that Carroll Shelby got hold of and put the big engine in. So you've seen Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yeah.
Film. So the Eleanor car, that's the Shelby GT 500. That's the Holy Grail car. That would be up there. You're not going to like this, but a Porsche 911 Carrera RS from the mid 70s, 1972, the year I was born. I'm not a huge Ferrari fan, but a 458 would be in there. 458 Italia. But then I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so some of my favorite cars are cars that you don't really see in the US. So you sort of like what we call hot hatches, things like the Golf GTI, Peugeot 205 GTI, Peugeot 309 GTI, Renault 5 GT Turbo, Sierra RS 500 Cosworth, the Escort Cosworth, Escort RS Turbo.
Dude, that's a big garage.
Yeah, it is. But also I would have a BMW M3 E30 Evo 2. But the question I get asked sometimes is, if you could only own one car,
what would it be?
What would it be? And the car that I currently have, I've got a Range Rover, and I adore it because it just does everything really well. It does everything.
Love it. Good comparison to a good PT. Also, I just love that I got a Brit to say the word Shelby's because I'm a Peaky Blinders guy. So I appreciate that.
Ah, right. Okay. Have you been watching Mobland? You'll need to watch Mobland.
Yes, dude. So good.
Yeah. Mobland's fantastic.
Oh, my God. Freaking D'Souza. He kept me up last night till freaking 1 a.m.
Here's one for you. And anyone who watches Tom Hardy, right? This'll kill it. Whenever you watch Tom Hardy always looks like he's just about to sneeze. You watch when he's acting.
Great. Okay, that's gonna screw it up. I'll tell you where he was great. He was freaking great in Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Playing the Jewish gangster. We don't see enough of those, dude. Yeah. We need more Jewish gangsters.
Yeah.
Okay, next, along those lines, you think soccer, as we affectionately refer to it, will ever catch on as a major U.S. sport?
I think it is. Catching on.
Thanks to Messi, I guess. We had to import one.
Friend of mine, he's a PT owner in Pasadena, and he was the physio for LAFC.
Hell yeah.
And them guys, you look at the crowds there, you look at the support. All right, the quality, I would say, if you look at the Premier League in England to the MLS, you're probably 2 divisions below. I think it's what we call League One standard. But it's getting there. I think it is getting there. I think what you guys are very good at in sport, and I spend a bit of time in the US. I love NFL. I'm a Patriots fan for my trouble. And I say I'm not really a big baseball fan. I would love to go to a baseball game, but basketball I like. I've been to see the Knicks play the Nets when I was in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been to see Orlando Magic play a couple of times as well.
So what we do really well is
entertainment in sport. You entertain with sport really well. You're very, very good with audience, like capturing your audience.
Yep.
And for something like NFL, which is a 60-minute game that takes,
forever,
it's still very engaging. I think that's what you guys are really good at. I was in Chicago recently, and we went up to where the Cubs stadium is. Is it the Cubs?
Yeah, Wrigley.
Yeah,
Wrigley.
Yeah, Wrigley Field, and all the bars are up there as well.
And,
and again, it was like, it's just, I love sports stadiums are the sort of the cathedrals, I love them. There's just something about them when you're around them or when you're in them.
Dude, first of all, Wrigley is magic.
Yeah.
You know what would really help us if we had like some of those team songs that you guys love.
Yes.
That would really help us. I'll tell you who does that well. I worked with international baseball a bit with Team Israel, and we went over for World Baseball Classic to Korea. Dude, a baseball game in Korea or in Japan, it's
Yeah,
a goddamn party.
yeah,
That's what Wrigley does well,
yeah,
is it feels like you're just at a party with 60,000 of your
yeah,
closest friends.
yeah,
It's really awesome.
yeah.
Okay, what is the number one mistake private practice owners make? Number one,
Uh, number one, as in the first one that they tend to make, or like the
most
biggest one?
common, biggest.
Not charging enough.
Okay, but what do I do if I'm in network?
Start to deliver more cash pay services.
Love it. Love it. Great advice. And we just have trouble getting out of our own way,
Mm,
and we're so scared. And I think that is one lesson that I took from your book is not to be so scared and to value what it is we provide, and that the patient is willing to pay for it. We've seen it
yeah,
here at True Sports. You can
yeah,
see it all over the place. So
yeah.
I think that's a great lesson. What was the greatest lesson you learned from writing your own book?
I mean, that I could do it, because it's funny. There's billions of books or millions of books, whatever.
Yep.
But I don't know anybody. Well, I do know people that have wrote them because I'm in this world. But before I was in this world, I didn't know somebody who wrote a book.
Yep.
And I think if I haven't got ADHD, I'd be amazed because I get distracted at everything. But what I learned was that you things like people say that distraction's a big enemy. I like distraction because distraction might be the thing that you actually need. You said it earlier. You said this is what we're going to focus on. So we're looking over here. Well, if you're saying yes to focusing on something, you're saying no to focusing on something else. My brain would go, well, what about over here? Can we
Yep.
just have a look at this and then see which one we want to do?
Yeah.
But what got me through it, my partner was incredible. She would hold me accountable when I was like, I don't want to sit in front of that computer. She'd be like, just go and do half an hour, or just go and write one page. Okay, and then one page would become 10 pages.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having somebody just not again. I mean, accountability to me is me and you are going to agree on something, and you're going to help me achieve it. That's it. That's all accountability is. It's not scary, and that's what she did. And by doing that, I think if she hadn't, it would have still been a load of words on my computer.
Well, it's really great and it helped me a ton. One last one.
Mm.
One no longer living personality you could have a beer with.
Oh,
Who is it?
oh, that's a good one. This is a lot of people.
Can only choose one,
I
Simon. Only
know.
one beer.
Uh, Taylor Hawkins.
Why?
I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan. There's which arm is it on? There's a tattoo of them on my arm. Massive Foo Fighters fan. And I just sit. I just think you'd just be just cool. Just sit and talk and just put a beer in front of me and go, tell me everything that happened that nobody knows about.
Dude,
Like,
yeah, but so it's interesting that you choose him and not what's his name, lead singer.
Dave Grohl. He's
Carl-
still alive.
Good call. He's still alive, but dude, the musical life that guy has led.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine? I don't want to know about Foo Fighters. I want to know what it's like playing drums for Kurt Cobain. Like
Yeah.
what is that life?
Yeah.
And man, that guy's career. Okay, I'll have to do a deep dive on the rest of the Foo Fighters. Sounds like they're totally worthwhile.
Yeah.
Simon, you have been a goddamn pleasure. Tell everyone where they can get your book and how they can find you.
Yeah, it's on. You can either just go straight onto Amazon, just do a search for Wealth and Wellness. It's on all the Amazon platforms, UK, US, Canada, it's worldwide. Or go to my website, which is wealthandwellnessbook.com. And you can order it through there. There's some little bits and pieces on there. One thing that is in the book, you might have noticed that there's some QR codes at the end of each, not each chapter, but some selected chapters. Click on that. It takes you to my YouTube channel, and there's a little video of me just going into it a little bit more. What I wanted from this book was I wanted the book to evolve. So you might go and watch one of the videos today, and then next week it'll be a different one because I'll have thought about it a little bit more, and I want to change it up a little bit or add things to it. So there's little evolutions of things that have been written about, and the second one is in production as well.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see how it evolves. Your take on business coaching is refreshing. Your ability to coach without fear mongering is a pleasure. I think there's so much value in the book. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Simon, thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to
Very
keep
welcome.
learning from you, man.
Thank you. It's been amazing. Thank you very much.
Guys, thanks for listening. Find us True Sports PT on Instagram. Really appreciate the downloads. Bye-bye.